Great goals are unforgettable, but the story behind them,
I don't believe it! David Beckham scores
the pain, resilience, and faith is what makes legends. In football, there are players, managers, and clubs. And then there are stories in the game that feel bigger than sport. One such tale is that of Manchester United. Man United is not just a team in red. It is a symbol of survival, of belief, of rising when the world thinks you're finished. Because before the trophies and global fame, Manchester United was a club that almost disappeared. The Red Devils weren't even called Manchester United at first. They were Newton Heath, a small railway workers team struggling to survive. The money was short, and the results were worse. And in 1902, the club stood on the edge of extinction. Debt piled up. Doors were close to shutting forever. But someone believed they were worth saving. Slowly, investors stepped in. A new identity was born. A new name. A new future. Manchester United. That moment in their early history teaches us something powerful. Your beginnings don't decide your destiny. Your belief does. Years later, that belief took shape in the form of one man. After World War II, Manchester United appointed Matt Busby as their first team manager, a decision that would completely transform the club's future. Busby didn't just build a team, he built a philosophy. At a time when most clubs measured success by the reputations they could buy, football was driven by established names and proven veterans. Unlike modern football, youth development was an afterthought. Players' potential mattered far less than experience. While other teams were chasing experienced stars, Busby trusted youth, players no one else would risk everything on. People said they were too young, too naive, too fragile, but Busby believed they were fearless. The young lads slowly became known as the Busby Babes, a team defined not by age but by courage. These young players ran harder, played braver, and dreamed bigger. And they started winning. League titles followed. Busby's team took Europe like a storm. Man United became the first English team to participate in the European Cup. The club, the teams, and the fans were overjoyed at their potential, and the future looked unstoppable.
Bouncing Busby Babes, they deserve to be knighted. If ever they're playing in your town.
Until one winter night in 1958, when everything changed. The team was flying home after a European match against Red Star Belgrade. They made it to the semifinals on aggregate and were going to face Milan in the playoffs. Young players, big dreams, a club on the rise. After a brief refueling stop at Munich, the plane set off on the course to England. But fate had other plans waiting on that runway. The aircraft transporting Manchester United squad, staff, and journalists failed to take off and crashed, taking 23 lives, 8 of them players. Several others survived with serious injuries, including Busby. In seconds, dreams turned into silence. Players were gone. Staff members gone. Manchester United was shattered. Matt Busby, even on a hospital bed fighting for his life, asked just one question: how are the boys? The world expected Man United to fade away after that. No team comes back from losing its heart. But grief did not become their ending. It became their reason. Because sometimes life doesn't test your skill, it tests your spirit. Just before the next season in August, Busby returned to Old Trafford, scarred, older, carrying the weight of memory. And he did the unthinkable. He started all over again. New young players arrived. And among them were Bobby Charlton, George Best, and Dennis Law. This wasn't just talent, but it was belief reborn. It took a long time to rebuild. Years of carrying pain onto the pitch. But then, in 1968, 10 years after the Munich tragedy, Man United stood in the European Cup final. The same competition they were traveling home from when tragedy struck. Only this time, they didn't lose. And what's more, they became the first English club to win the European Cup. Think about that. From ashes to the top of Europe. Not because they forgot the pain, but because they refused to let pain be the final chapter. Your worst moment doesn't get to write your whole story.
Well done, Manchester United.
But remember, success doesn't mean struggle is over. After Busby stepped down, Manchester United drifted. One of the biggest mistakes of the club was to not gauge in plans after Busby's exit. Many managers changed, but their performances dipped. At one point, they were relegated again. They were no longer giants. Man United was just another fallen name in football. And this is where most stories quietly fade. But Manchester United's story was never about comfort. It was about resilience. Because in 1986, a fiery Scottish manager walked through the doors of Old Trafford.
A disgraceful performance.
And his name was Alex Ferguson. And at first, he didn't look like a savior. Results were poor. The team finished 11th in the league in his first season. And as expected, the critics were loud. Ferguson came very close to being sacked, if not for one match. The FA Cup final in 1990 might as well have saved his job. Manchester United won a very closely contested tie. And that win shifted history. Because Sir Alex didn't just manage players. He built a culture of relentless standards. He had 3 rules that the team had to follow at all costs. No ego was bigger than the badge. No player bigger than the team. No victory is an excuse to relax. Man United's training was intense. Discipline was non-negotiable. Ferguson built teams that never knew when they were beaten. Teams that attacked in the last minute like it was the first. And that mentality led to one of the greatest nights in football history. The year was 1999. It was the UEFA Champions League final. Manchester United versus Bayern Munich. United were on the losing end of 1-0 almost throughout the match. Ferguson sent in 2 substitutes and changed the formation to match their opponent better. The clock showed 90 minutes. Time was running out. But Ferguson's team didn't believe in too late. Then came an injury time corner. Goal. 1-1. Seconds later, another attack. Another goal.
Unbelievable!
Both the substitutes scored in the space of 2 minutes, turning a probable defeat into a stunning victory. Manchester United became the first English team to win the treble that year. League, FA Cup, and Champions League. But the real achievement wasn't 3 trophies. It was a mindset. It's not over until we say it's over. That belief carried them through decades of dominance. League titles. European nights. Generations inspired. Ferguson proved that greatness isn't built in moments of glory. It's built to daily standards when no one is watching. Then, in 2013, Ferguson retired, and the club entered another storm. Managers came and went. Results rose and fell. The world asked, are Manchester United finished? But here's the truth about legacies. They aren't destroyed by struggle. They are defined by how they respond to it. Even today, through ups and downs, the badge still carries weight. The stadium still roars. The dream of rising again still burns, because Manchester United has never been a story about permanent success. It has always been a story about the comeback. And that's why this story matters to you. You might not wear a red shirt. You might never step into a stadium of 70,000 people, but you know what it feels like to struggle, to lose something, to doubt whether you can rebuild. Manchester United's history whispers are a reminder. Your current chapter is not your conclusion, because greatness isn't about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down. So, when life hits hard, when plans collapse, when people say it's over, remember a club that lost everything in the snow of Munich and still conquered Europe. Remember a manager who was one game from being fired and went on to build a dynasty. Remember a team that scored twice in injury time because they refused to quit. Manchester United is more than football. It is proof that belief can rebuild ruins, that leadership can shape history, and that no matter how many times you fall, you can always rise again. That is the comeback mentality. And it lives wherever someone chooses to stand back up.